starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
We are live here at Petco Park. The final score on this Sunday afternoon here in downtown San Diego. The Brewers 6 and the Padres 2 as the Padres drop back to 500 at 41-41. Brewers salvage the finale of this four-game series. They improved to 45-33. Padres cannot complete the four-game sweep of the Brew Crew, and the Padres unable to make it 5 straight wins. Still a series win. Padres take 3 out of 4 to begin this homestand. They'll welcome in the Washington Nationals for the start of a 3-game series tomorrow, and we have a lot to do on our post-game coverage. As we wrap this one up, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also take you through the radio highlights, recap this game from start to finish, and get to the out-of-town scoreboard. Much more to do as the Brewers crank out 14 hits in this game. Padres had 8 hits, and we'll get more into it as we go, but really the story of this game, unfortunately, was the top of the second inning. The Brewers scoring 5 runs on 6 hits in the top of the second against Michael King, and the Padres really just could not recover from that point. Padres did not have a ton going offensively against Tobias Myers, the starter today for the Brewers. He went 5 innings, 1 run given up, and the unfortunate part for King was really, aside from the second inning, he was good in this game, but things got away in the second inning. There wasn't a ton of hard contact in that second, but look, 5 runs is 5 runs, and the Brewers jumped out to a 5-0 lead. They never looked back in this ball game. So the Padres fall 6-2 against Milwaukee as the Brewers win the final game of this 4-game set. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll recap this game in its entirety. Much more to do on our postgame coverage. Again, the final, Brewers 6, Padres 2. Our postgame coverage continues after this. Postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score on this Sunday afternoon in America's finest city, the Brewers 6 and the Padres 2. As the Padres drop the series finale against Milwaukee, Padres do take 3 out of 4 against the Brewers over this weekend. So a nice series win against the first place team, no doubt about that. But a bit of a sour ending on this Sunday as the Padres fall 6-2. A great crowd here in downtown San Diego, more than 42,000 plus in the building. Sellout number 24 on the season here at Petco Park. So the fans showed up on what was a very warm afternoon here at the ballpark, but a tough one for the Padres. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that as the Padres fall to 41-41 on the year. Let's recap this game from start to finish.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
Padres starter Michael King got off to a nice start. He struck out the side in the top of the first inning, but things didn't go nearly as well in the top of the second. There were 2 on and 1 out for Sal Frelick.
2 on, 1 out. 2-2. Here's the pitch. Frelick hits it on the ground the other way. That's through the left side and a base hit. Adames is being waved. He's going to come in and score. Ortiz will wheel around to third base. An RBI single for Sal Frelick. Third hit of the inning for the Brewers, and a 1-0 lead here in the second.
King then got the second out of the inning. Blake Perkins was next.
Ahead here, 0-2. The pitch. Perkins swings, pokes it in the air down the left field line, and that is going to drop in a base hit. 2 runs will score. Another bloop single for the Brewers. This one makes it 3-0 here in the second.
Like we said earlier, a lot of the contact in this top of the second was not hard against Michael King. Bryce Terang then lined one to the right field fence. That scored Perkins to make it 4-0. Tyler Black drove Terang in with a single to make it 5-0. Brewers had a 5-run, 6-hit top of the second inning. The score stayed 5-0 for a while. That was until the Padres had a rally in the bottom half of the fifth inning against Brewers starter Tobias Myers. Ha-Seong Kim and Brett Sullivan hit back-to-back 2-out singles. Luis Arise then dug in.
Kim at second. Here's the 1-2. Arise swings, lines it into right field. That's a base hit. Bauer's charging. Kim's rounding third on his way. The throw will go to third. The tag, and Sullivan is safe. RBI single, Luis Arise. Padres are on the board 5-1 here in the fifth inning.
That was all the Padres got in the bottom half of the fifth. King would go 6 innings, allow 5 runs in this game. All of that in the top of the second. Tom Cosgrove replaced King with the Padres still trailing 5-1 in the top of the seventh inning. Cosgrove gave up 3 singles, runs scored in the process. It was a 6-1 Brewer lead. Fast forward to the bottom half of the eighth inning. Padres got a 1-out double from Jurickson Profar. Then a single from Jake Cronenworth got Profar to third base. Manny Machado drove Profar home with a sac fly. That made it 6-2. That was all the Padres got in the eighth inning. The Padres went down in order against right-hander Trevor McGill in the ninth inning. And that was about the story in this one. It was all about the 5-run second inning for the Brewers. They took a 5-0 lead. Padres would make it 5-1. Brewers would make it 6-1. Padres would make it 6-2 with the run in the eighth. But that was about it as the Brewers win the final game of this series. Brewers again now 45-33. Padres drop back to 500 at 41-41. Brewers had 6 runs, 14 hits, 1 error. They left on 7, 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position in this one. Padres, meanwhile, 2 runs, 8 hits, no errors. They were 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position and left 6 on. Michael King took the loss. 5-5 on the year, and the young right-hander Tobias Myers got the win for Milwaukee. He improves to 5-2. Let's go downstairs here at Petco Park, and here's some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, what do you say after taking 3 or 4 from the Brewers?
Good series, good club, good series, played good baseball. Did a lot of things really well the whole series, including today. Went through on a 4-game run. Wasn't our day to come out on top, and we'll get ready to start another one.
There was a recurring theme in terms of a pitcher who was struggled early, put you guys in quite a hole. What is the difficulty of coming back from 5-0?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you thought 2 or 3, yeah, that's a little more obtainable. 5, we've done it. 5's a bigger, crooked number. It's harder to come back from. I thought that Michael threw the ball real well. That 5 runs, I mean, listen, they got on the board, and give them credit. This team has a good offensive approach. You know, they take what the game gives them. They use the whole field. They drive the ball. They have a nice approach, similar to ours, on how they go about their offense. And it was on display in the second. They found holes.
Did it feel a little crazy? By the end, they'd hit a couple hard, but the first 3 were like.
Yeah, just okay, boom, all right, here we go, ground ball, boom, here's another hole, bang. Again, give them credit. You know, you got good approaches, you're going to get more hits. And they had pretty good approaches against Michael. They had a good approach the whole series. I think going back to even Dylan the first game. So, and then when you do that, guys get a little tireder. You know, later in that inning, get a few more balls that are a little more to hit, and they put better swings on them. So, but I thought Michael overall was good. And then, man, for him to regroup and throw 4 goose eggs to give us that chance to come back was outstanding for him today and our bullpen moving forward.
What's the latest on Tatis?
He's available today. We didn't find the spot for him. He's available to hit today. And there was a couple of different moments where we were just like a hitter away or a matchup away. Wasn't going to do it. And even in the 6th, there was a window for that. Just didn't present itself to get to that spot.
Just to make sure you didn't end up getting any imaging. I think you said the other day you guys weren't expecting.
On the elbow, no, that's correct. He nothing with the elbow that we feel like is holding him back.
Is it just inflammation in there right now? Is that gone down mostly? Is there
in the elbow
clear diagnosis on what he's dealing with there?
In the elbow?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just soreness, you know. But he was having trouble straightening it, but the elbow wasn't holding him back.
How about the quad? How is that, and is that equal concern at this point?
It's something we're still evaluating.
Was the fact that he's available, should we read anything into that as a positive? I guess it could be worse. Or
You know, listen, we're still making internal decisions and discussions, including with him and our medical group, and we'll have a little more clarity on what that looks like moving forward of his path.
How much did Sullivan and King, were they able to get together? Probably spent some time yesterday?
Yeah, they knew yesterday. You know, Michael was, you know, pretty optimistic about Sully catching him. Kinger was. And, you know, they had a relationship back to spring training. They spent yesterday knowing they were going to be together today.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt. After today's game, Padres fall 6-2 to the Milwaukee Brewers in the final game of this 4-game series. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park. Let's start with probably the most important information there during the post-game press conference, and that is the status of Fernando Tatis Jr., who we know was already dealing with the quad issue, but then got hit with a pitch on Friday night. A few innings later, had to come out of the game with a left tricep contusion, and I suppose a little good news there, although, you know, you heard the questions there. I think the reporters were trying to get as much information as they could as to what it meant that Fernando was available today. So, look, that is good news that Fernando was seemingly available in this game if needed. Just the spot in the game never really came where, you know, the Padres were necessarily one swing away in a spot where, you know, you'd pinch hit with Fernando at really any point. But good to hear from Mike Shildt that he was available here today. It sounds like the quad is, you know, as Mike Shildt said, something they're still evaluating. I mean, it's been pretty clear, just the quad situation. It's been pretty clear that Fernando's dealing with it if you've watched him run on the bases, in the field. So, look, Fernando's banged up right now. He's been dealing with the quad. Then he gets hit by the pitch, the left tricep contusion. I'll be interested to see, is he in the lineup tomorrow? You know, if he's not in the lineup tomorrow, that's 3 straight days out of the lineup at some point. You'd imagine, again, I'm totally speculating here. Really, I'm just totally speculating. But if he's not in the lineup tomorrow, you're going to start going into that territory of, okay, you know, not even how serious is the injury, but what is his availability right now just in the next few days. So we'll see. I don't want to get, too ahead of myself, but we'll see. Is Fernando in the lineup tomorrow? Hopefully he is, and obviously he's dealing with the quad right now, and he's also dealing with getting hit by the pitch, that left tricep contusion, and you heard Mike Shildt say there that he's been having some trouble straightening out his arm, which is not great. That seems like something you have to do to, in all likelihood, play baseball. But, again, the good news out of what Mike Shildt said there was that he was apparently available off the bench here today. So we'll see what the deal is with Fernando tomorrow. What more we'll find out tomorrow as the Padres begin a series against the Washington Nationals. I did want to touch on that second inning for Michael King because, look, you're going to look at his outing today. You're going to see a loss. You're going to see 6 innings. You're going to see 5 runs given up. In that top of the second, it was a weird inning. It really was. And look, I'm not a huge exit velocity guy. There is truth in the numbers of the exit velo that can certainly give you more information rather than just looking at a box score or a play-by-play box score. It certainly gives you a little bit more information. This was one of those innings in the top of the second where it really felt like Michael King dealt with a lot of bad luck. You can even go back to the way that inning began. Willy Adames pops a ball up into shallow medium range center. Jackson Merrill's coming in on it. Ha-Sung Kim went way out into left center, and quite frankly, I think Kim should have been a little less aggressive on that. He went way out into left center, and I don't want to say it got in Merrill's way, but it caused Merrill, who by far and away had the better angle and approach on it from center, it caused Merrill to slow up a little bit as he was approaching the ball, and it dropped in between Kim and Merrill. And just looking at the replay of it, I really thought if Kim is not in the area there, that Merrill probably charges 100%, and I think there's a good chance he makes that catch. I mean, think about it this way, just beyond me talking about it. That batted ball off the bat of Willy Adames to start that top of the second, it had an 8% chance by StatCast of being a hit. Okay, now that doesn't tell you the whole story, the expected batting average, the hit probability. But in this case, it does a little bit. I mean, that ball between the exit velo and the launch angle had an 8% chance of being a hit, and it dropped in, which sort of backed up with, what you saw. Because, again, it just seemed like Merrill had a chance at it and had to slow up. And I think part of that because Kim was way out there. So just all the way around, it drops in. Okay, I'm not assigning blame, but it drops in. Bad luck for Michael King because it felt like that ball probably, most cases gets caught, right? Then a strikeout. Then there was, and I'm just going to read the exit velos on the hits here. A single at 64.6 miles an hour. Then a single at 90 miles an hour. Better struck. A strikeout for out number 2. And at that point, Michael King is 1 out away from keeping it just a 1-run inning. And here is where the game in the second really changed, because after the single to make it 1-0, he gets the strikeout for out number 2, then another single off the bat of Blake Perkins drives in 2. That was a looper down the left field line that stayed fair. Off the bat, that was 66.5 miles an hour off the bat. A triple hit better, a single hit better, but again, you look at the first hit of the inning, the 2-run single by Perkins. I mean, these were bloopers that fell in, and it was unfortunate for Michael King. So, again, does it excuse it the whole way? No. I mean, look, 5-run inning is a 5-run inning, but that was one of those half innings in Michael King's defense where you really feel like it could have gone differently had he just had some better luck with the defense behind him, with just the way balls dropped in. And look, you're going to have innings like that as a starting pitcher, and as a team you are. And it ended up being a 5-run inning for the Brew Crew, and really it changed the whole course of this game. Brewers took a 5-0 lead. They never looked back, right? They never trailed by less than 4 at that point after the Padres made it 5-1. So tough inning for Michael King. Did go 6 innings, gave you a little bit of length, and we'll dive into it in our next segment a little bit more, because you heard Mike Shildt ask there about the starting pitching. And look, there's been some good starts in this most recent stretch during the 4-game win streak. Padres still won 3 out of 4 in this series, but you go back to the start of the road trip, to New York and Philadelphia, and there has been a lot of the Padres falling behind. They've won some games here lately despite falling behind a lot and despite the starting pitching not being super great. So we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later in our post-game coverage as the Padres fall 6-2 to the Milwaukee Brewers. When we come back, we'll start to cycle through our daily awards. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up as well. If you want to get a phone call in, you can do that at 833-288-0973. Again, 833-288-0973. The phone number to call if you want to get involved. If you want to get involved on social media, you can tweet at me or Instagram DM me at Sammy Lev, SAMMYLEV, or you can comment on our video streams, and I may read your tweets, DMs, and comments coming up a little bit later. Final score, Brewers 6, Padres 2. Our post-game coverage continues when we come back. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we wrap this one up. Final score, Brewers 6 and the Padres 2, as the Padres do take 3 out of 4 against Milwaukee in this 4-game series. So a 3-1 start to the homestand. Padres will welcome in the Washington Nationals for the start of a 3-game series tomorrow. We'll have more on that game coming up a little bit later on. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park on what was a very warm but very beautiful Sunday afternoon. Another sold-out crowd. Not a ton to get up and cheer about in this one. Padres fell behind 5-0 as Milwaukee put together a 5-run top of the second against Michael King. They would go on to win this game 6-2. There were bright spots in the bullpen today for the Padres. Let's tell you about one of them.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
Our relief pitcher of the game here today, we will stay on the Padres side of things. Let's give it to Johnny Brito. Why not? Johnny kept it a 6-1 game, then a 6-2 game with scoreless innings in the 8th and the 9th. Gave up a couple of hits, but got through him scoreless, and nice bounce back for Johnny after giving up the grand slam to Bryce Terang yesterday. So Johnny Brito, we'll keep it on the Padres side of things for this one, our relief pitcher of the game. Nice outing, good bounce back, 2 scoreless innings, and as we've learned over the course of the last few days, hey, with a bullpen, you need everybody to do their part and do their job when your bullpen is taxed and you're using a lot of guys. So Brito, today, 2 scoreless innings, did his job, and for that reason, our relief pitcher of the game. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll start to get to some of your phone calls. Again, the phone number, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you want to get involved, let me know. What'd you think about this game? What'd you think about this series? 82 games in now. Today was the first game of the official second half. Really, in baseball, we consider first half and second half by definition before All-Star break and after All-Star break, but mathematically we are now in the second half. And, well, the Padres back to a place that has been very familiar. 41-41, back to 500. So we'll see how the series goes against the Nationals, and we'll get more into that coming up a little bit later on. Again, we'll take your phone calls coming up, 833-288-0973. Much more to do on our post-game coverage on the Padres Radio Network. Our post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. As we wrap this one up, Padres fall 6-2 to the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll get to some of your phone calls here coming up, 833-288-0973. As we recap this one, Padres dropped to 41-41. Look, you'll certainly take a series win against the Brew Crew. They came in first place team in the National League Central. After today's win, the Brewers are now 45-33 on the year. And look, we'll see if the Padres can keep it rolling a little bit against the Nationals, right? I mean, this is sort of the key question for this ball club. It has been one step forward, one step back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and so on, really all year. And it's something we talked about during the pregame today. I brought this up on the pregame, and I thought it was a good way to kind of look at who the Padres have been through 82 games and in the month of June so far. And, of course, now in the midst of all my laptop issues today, if you missed that pregame, and by the way, I'm going to get to what happened during the game. Let me put it this way. The vibes were off here at Petco Park for myself, and I'll get into it in our final segment. But the vibes were just kind of off from the start here, so I'm not all that surprised that the Padres lost this game. To be clear, I'm talking about like my own laptop issues and other broadcaster laptop issues. There was just the vibes were off today. I'll get into that in my last segment, but like I have anything to do with what the team does on the field. But to give you an idea of how streaky it's been, right? I mean, June sort of a microcosm of what the year has been. Padres, since June 2nd, this is what they've done. They've lost 5 in a row. They've then won 5 of 6. They then lost 5 in a row, and they've now won 4 out of 5. So just back to the point of, well, we'll see how this series goes against the Nationals, and can the Padres build on it, right? Can you go win a series against Washington? Can you go sweep a series against Washington? A team that, look, is not very far out of the wild card picture, okay? Even though it's a team that not many people would have picked at the start of the year, obviously, to make the postseason. Still a very young and rebuilding group for the Nationals. But this is a team, despite the Padres dealing with a ton of injuries right now, and they're really banged up, but this is a team that you feel like the Padres should be able to handle, right? Should be able to win a series against. And we know that's been an issue for this team throughout the year, going against teams you feel like they should handle. So again, the point being, you're sitting at 500. Can the Padres keep it rolling? Can they end the streakiness in a good way? And we shall see as we get towards the later part of June and ultimately into July in just a little over a week. So, again, the Padres fall 6-2 against the Brewers as we wrap it up on our post-game coverage. Let's go to the phones. We lead things off with Ryan, who's calling in from San Diego. Oh, no, Ryan. Ryan, call back in. We lost you. All right, for now, we'll get back to the phones in a second. Again, the phone number, 833-288-0973. Let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at our out-of-town scoreboard. Everything has gone final aside from one game, and that is Sunday Night Baseball at Wrigley Field. The Mets and the Cubs scoreless in the first inning. Games going on, or I should say completed already. Phillies beat the Diamondbacks 4-1 in Philadelphia. Bryson Stott had a big base hit in that game for the Phillies. Stott with an RBI single in the 7th inning. David Dahl also had an RBI. Nick Castellanos had an RBI in that game. So, nice day for the Phillies as they beat the D-backs 4-1. Braves beat the Yankees 3-1 in New York. Jared Kelenic hit a home run in that game for Atlanta. Rays beat the Pirates 3-1 in Pittsburgh. Paul Skeens, despite the Pirates losing that game, he was solid once again for the Pirates as he continues his very, very impressive rookie campaign. Paul Skeens in that game, 7 innings, 1 run given up, lowered his ERA to 2.14. So you talk about National League Rookie of the Year race, well, Jackson Merrill in that conversation. Paul Skeens, certainly in that conversation. Shota Imanaga, certainly in that conversation. Certainly would have put Yoshinobu Yamamoto in that conversation as well. Yamamoto on the IL right now, but Skeens, 7 innings, 1 run given up. Rays do beat the Pirates 3-1. Red Sox beat the Reds 7-4 in Cincinnati. Rob Refschneider, home run in that game for the Sox. Tigers beat the White Sox 11-2 in Detroit. Riley Green, a 3-run home run, his 15th of the season in that win for the Tigers. Marlins beat the Mariners 6-4 in Miami. Jesus Sanchez, a home run in that game for Miami. Guardians beat the Blue Jays 6-5 in Cleveland. Stephen Kwan, who is having an excellent year, along with Josh Naylor. They both went deep in that game as the Guardians win it. Astros beat the Orioles 8-1 in Houston. Jose Altuve, a leadoff home run in that game for the Astros. Cardinals beat the Giants 5-3 in San Francisco earlier today. Other finals, Rangers beat the Royals 4-0 in Arlington. Nationals beat the Rockies 2-1 in Colorado. They'll now head to Petco Park. Twins beat the A's 3-0 in Oakland. Byron Buxton, a home run in that game for Minnesota. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Sunday across the major leagues. Now let's tell you about today's player of the game.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Paddy's and Bites. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
Our player of the game on the Padres radio network today. We'll keep it on the Padres side of things. Why not? We'll keep positive with most of our awards today. Give it to Luis Arraez. 2 hits in this game out of the leadoff spot. RBI single to put the Padres on the board. Most productive offensive day for any Padres. So for that reason, Arraez, who ends the day batting .315, our player of the game. 2 hits, the RBI. Will give it to Luis Arraez, our player of the game on the Padres side of things, despite the Padres losing 6-2 to the Brewers. When we come back, we'll hear our play of the game. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow, the series opener against the Nationals. And we'll also squeeze in any phone calls if you want to get them in. Phone number 833-288-0973. I'm going to go through my tweets and DMs on Instagram right now. You can find me there, Sammy Lev, SAMMYLEV. Let me know what you thought about this ball game here today. May read your tweet, your DM, your comment live here on the air in our final segment. Brewers win it 6-2 over the Padres. Post-game coverage continues after this. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we wrap this one up. Padres fall by a final score of 6-2 on this Sunday afternoon. Padres do win the final, or I should say, first 3 games of this series, so they do take 3 out of 4. Padres do see their 4-game winning streak come to an end. We'll see if the Padres can bounce back tomorrow against the Washington Nationals. We'll have a full preview of that series coming up in just a matter of minutes, so stay tuned for that. Let's hear today's play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Ahead here, 0-2. The pitch. Perkins swings, pokes it in the air down the left field line, and that is going to drop in a base hit. 2 runs will score. Another bloop single for the Brewers. This one makes it 3-0 here in the second.
Blake Perkins, our play of the game for the Brew Crew. 2-run single, little blooper that landed fair down the left field line, as Jesse described. Made it 3-0, and the Brewers would never look back in this game. They would end up scoring 5 runs in the second. We detailed earlier how it was a bit of a weird second inning because a lot of the contact in that inning was not particularly hard against Michael King, but so be it. 5 runs for the Brewers in that second. Perkins had the big hit, a 2-run single to make it 3-zip, and that is today's play of the game. Every Sunday is a Military Sunday, and we want to take time to recognize and thank all military members for their amazing dedication and service. San Diego County Toyota dealers, proud partners of the Padres, are honored to support San Diego's military community. Before we go, a couple of things I just wanted to touch on before we wrap things up, preview this series against the Nationals, because I mentioned it earlier. You know, one thing that you would really love to see improve in this coming series and beyond for the Padres, and they will get a boost with Yu Darvish returning on Tuesday against the Nationals, is just the quality of the starting pitching and the length that the starting pitching is giving this team right now. I mean, that seems like, you know, really a key right now, especially for as banged up offensively as the Padres are. And I'm going to do this in real time. I didn't quite have time to do it during the break, but I did want to calculate since the start, or I really should say, since Matt Waldron went 7 innings and 2 runs allowed in the opener of the road trip to New York and Philly. I wanted to calculate from June 15th on, and I'm going to do this in real time, and I apologize. I've not had a chance to look this up during our post game, and I wanted to. It's going to take me a second. So June 15th, here we go. So see if the numbers sort of match what my what my eyes have told me. Let's see here. So this is going back to the second game in New York, and this was the game Adam Mazur started in New York. So it's now a span of 9 games. And yeah, the numbers kind of back up what you feel. And the Padres in those 9 games, and look, they've won 4 in a row entering today, okay? So they were finding ways to win. But a 5.96 ERA in the last 9 games from, that's all their pitching. I wanted starting pitching. I may not be able to look this up as quickly as I wanted to right now, so I apologize. Let me just run through it here, okay? From that Saturday game in New York, okay? I know this is a little tedious, but I do want to just make the point here. You look at from that Saturday game in New York, let's run through the 9 games. Adam Mazur, 3 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs given up. Dylan Cease, 3 2/3 innings, 7 earned runs given up. Randy Vasquez, 4 innings and a third, 6 earned runs given up. So that's 3 straight starters there that did not get through 5 complete innings. Michael King on the Tuesday in Philadelphia, 4 2/3 innings, 1 earned run given up. So I'm just keeping a tally here, and again, I'm doing this in real time, of starters not getting through 5. So that's 4. And then you had Matt Waldron, 7 innings, 1 run given up in Philadelphia. Then you had Adam Mazur, 4 2/3 innings with 3 runs given up. Then you had Dylan Cease, 4 2/3 innings with 4 runs given up You had Randy Vasquez yesterday, 5 innings, and then you had Michael King today, 6 innings, but again, the 5-run second. So, again, little tedious, but looking at it here, last 9 games, and this sort of makes the point, the Padres, 6 times in the last 9 games, their starter has not got 5 complete innings. And look, they've given up some early runs. The Padres have been able to battle through that, battle through some of the bullpen woes. But I think the point stands, and it's something that Mike Shildt got asked about a little bit during the postgame press conference. That would be a big boost in this series. And quite frankly, looking at this series, and Darvish will be on some sort of pitch count, I would imagine, on Tuesday. But hey, you got Waldron, Darvish, and Cease against the Nationals this coming week. It would be nice to get some good starts, some lengthy good starts, a handful of days in a row. I really feel like that would go a long way right now. Is very important this coming week. So we'll see if the Padres can do that. And again, today was a little bit different for Michael King because he gave up the 5 runs in the second. And really, aside from that, he was fine, but just ended up being a tough inning with a lot of weak contact. And yeah, some bad batted ball luck for Michael King. But I just wanted to make that point before we go. 6 out of the last 9 games, Padres haven't had a starter complete 5 innings. So they could use some lengthy, solid starting pitching this coming week. I think that's just an important point to make. And look, obviously, the offense has been very good at home as of late. All the home runs they've hit at home the last 10 home games or so. Not much offense or power here today with just 2 runs, 8 hits. Padres didn't have a ton of base traffic in this game overall. And we'll see if they can get the offense going tomorrow against the Washington Nationals. I told you earlier that I would tell you about why the vibes were off, really from the very start today, just on the broadcast side of things here. So let me take you through my day here before we go, and then we'll wrap it up. So I show up to do my pregame show, right, at noon. Everything's going fine. I'm doing my show. And you may have heard it because I talked about it during the pregame show, and if you were watching on YouTube earlier, you may have noticed our YouTube stream, it went off. And the reason it went off was because I spilled, a large cup of water all over my laptop. Now, here's the good news. The good news out of that situation, well, the bad news was the YouTube stream went down. The bad news was my laptop turned off. And the bad news was I didn't have any of my notes. I had to scramble to get them on my phone, and I was a bit of a mess for, I would say, 5-10 minutes until things settled down. The good news is that the laptop ultimately came back on and has been working totally fine for 3-4 hours now. In fact, I'm using it right now. I'm streaming on it right now. That's the camera you see on the YouTube feed. So that's some good news. But I'll share this. I was sitting with my great friend Pedro Gutierrez, a part of the Padres Spanish broadcast team, Spanish language broadcast team here at the Padres. We were sitting in one of the booths here at Petco Park. And so, like I said, my laptop had the water spill all over it. Unfortunately, we had a foul ball in the booth, and Pedro's laptop got hammered by the foul ball. And it's still working, but I think he's going to need to fix it or get an upgrade. So it was, when I said the vibes were off, it was kind of crazy because I was just in there and I was telling Pedro all about my laptop issues with spilling the water on it. And then, no kidding, within the next half hour, foul ball, boom, laptop. Admittedly, I didn't make the best play on it. I wasn't totally paying attention. I was on my laptop, saw it about halfway, as it was coming up towards the booth, made sort of a lunge at it, got maybe a pinky on it, and hit the laptop right on. Went flying off the desk. So that's what I mean when I say I don't know what was going on today. The vibes were a little bit off. But you know what? Great thing about baseball, you bounce back tomorrow. Another game tomorrow, another chance for me to get it right and not spill liquid all over my laptop. We had laptop issues today here at the ballpark. See, you never know what you're going to get on any given day at the ballpark. All right, taking a look ahead to tomorrow in this upcoming series against the the Washington Nationals. Let's take a look at the entire starting pitching matchups for that series. On Monday, Matt Waldron against left-hander Patrick Corbin. On Tuesday, Yu Darvish against left-hander Mackenzie Gore. On Wednesday, Dylan Cease against left-hander DJ Hers on the mound for Washington. First pitch tomorrow at 6:40. Pregame coverage will begin at 5:40. Again, our pitching matchup tomorrow, Matt Waldron against Patrick Corbin. As always, if you missed any of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt. You can find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go back and watch any of our post-game coverage on YouTube on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Taking a look at the final totals here today. For the Brewers, 6 runs, 14 hits, 1 error. They left on 7. For the Padres, 2 runs, 8 hits, no errors. They left on 6. Winning pitcher Tobias Myers, who improves to 5-2. Losing pitcher Michael King, who drops to 5-5. Time of game, 2 hours, 32 minutes. And the crowd here at Petco Park, the 24th sellout of 2024. 42,048, the crowd here in downtown San Diego. Once again, first pitch tomorrow at 6:40. Pregame coverage begins at 5:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from inside Petco Park. Again, the final score here today, the Milwaukee Brewers 6 and the San Diego Padres 2. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great rest of your Sunday.
Thanks for joining us for today's game. For the best coverage of the San Diego Padres, stay tuned to San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Thank you for listening to this special presentation on San Diego's #1 sports